Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I'm really excited to be joined by Johnny and Chris from Length Does Matter. How are you both doing?
Very well, thank you.
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Yeah. Thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to it. First of all, before we start, do you want to plug your channel, your podcast, and tell everyone where they can find you?
Length Does Matter. So it's a podcast we started the back end of last year. We've got YouTube channel, Length Does Matter. We're available on more or less every other place you can get podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout. So yeah, we're really, I think, you know, we're really
we're enjoying it, haven't we, Connie?
We're really sometimes a bit too much.
I've seen some of them. You've got looks like you guys have a lot of fun, and obviously, how did it come about? Are you guys mates before then? And how did it come about starting it?
So I've known Johnny for a long time. Sort of early part of last summer, I think he got in touch after a few years of kind of not speaking really. Just had a bit of an idea. Asked what I thought of it. Hey?
We didn't fall out or anything.
No.
Yeah, don't worry. I wouldn't ask you. Yeah, exactly. He hated me for a bit of period, and then that was it. I came back, and it was all good.
Johnny had the idea. Asked what I thought of it, and you know the plan and I guess the outline of it sounded quite fun and enjoyable. So we got the ball rolling, and then I guess when did we recorded the first one? End of October, November-ish.
Yeah, it was just before the pub shut.
It was literally just before the pub shut.
Week before. So the idea was we were gonna go and record them, and we were gonna travel about and record them in pubs and sit down with people. Because that's just ideal, isn't it? Just sitting having a beer and a glass of pop or whatever, and sit and chat to the guests. But the circumstances, obviously COVID and stuff, we'll pay to that. But we're doing quite a lot through Zoom and stuff. But you know, irrespective, we're still really, really enjoying it, aren't we, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had some really good guests on. I think Tim Bresner's popped up a few times, hasn't he? I think for a quiz that you guys did, and looks like you guys have a lot of fun on it. And then I saw Joe Denley and a lot of other, really big, really good names on there. So I'm sure Chris's contacts, I'm sure he's got a little black book that you guys can exploit to get through. So I'm sure you've got lots of guests to come on. So really, really good. And yeah, guys, please do check it out. As I said, and I'll put the link as well to the YouTube channel and also your Instagram, etc. as well in the description so people can access it for sure. Before we kind of get into a little bit of the nitty gritty, Chris and Johnny as well, you can touch upon this as well, your kind of cricket experience or journey. But Chris, what was your journey like getting into cricket initially? Like, how did you get into the game?
It was a bit of a no-brainer, really. It was just a family thing. So my older brother played at a good standard when he was younger. My dad played, my uncle, cousins, literally, you name it, everyone in the family played. So from being 5-6 years old, we had a street full of 7 or 8 of us who just loved cricket. So it was kind of a no-brainer that was the natural progression, really.
Yeah, and I think your journey, like you had a kind of some ups and downs before, and then you established yourself into Durham side, didn't you?
Yeah, so joined the academy as a sort of 15-year-old when I left school, and was released from the academy at 19. At the time, I didn't think cricket was for me, so I kind of entered the real world for a few years as such, and had a few sort of everyday jobs, and you know, I didn't enjoy it. Not going to lie, it wasn't for me. So it was kind of that sort of realization that, you know, I think cricket is my passion. It's what I love. So following that little period off, you know, I sort of tried a few trials and stuff, and tried to get back into the game, and you know, try and make a fist of it.
Nice. Okay. How's it, Johnny? Have you watched many games with Chris in it? You must have watched quite a few. Is it a bit weird seeing your mate on TV and stuff, or is it just you got used to it now?
It's not weird. It's obviously, is your mate when you're growing up and stuff like that, and to see him, playing cricket on TV, especially when Durham were kind of being really successful. When they played, white ball, like Lord's finals days in 2020 and stuff like that. So it is pretty surreal, but it's not weird. I guess it's more proud, really. Do you know what I mean? That because we're both from the same town, and I think to see, I think I'm a big advocate of just sport in general in the Northeast. You know what I mean? So to see lads from the Northeast doing well, is brilliant, really.
You big Sunderland or Newcastle fans?
Well,
we got?
We're Sunderland. We're Sunderland.
Johnny was a bit more hesitant, but Chris was like, "No, definitely Sunderland." He was like, "No,
definitely
just
Sunderland."
I wouldn't. I think. Go on, Johnny.
I wouldn't say I am definitely Sunderland. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan. Not at the moment. It's not going particularly well.
We watch them, don't we? We watch them. We follow them.
Tolerate them.
Yeah. So I'm a Chelsea fan, so we're not doing particularly well at the moment either. So it's fine. It is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. So as Johnny said, like Chris, you guys were really, very successful for quite a number of years, and I guess the biggest thing for me was you guys winning the County Championship in 2013, and you played quite a big part in that as well. What was that season like for you? Is it one that you look back on and you think that was a quality season, and it's something that you look back on really fondly and think that's probably the best season I've had because of what you guys did as a team?
Definitely. It's a season. I think everyone that played that year, will not forget it. Not just because we finished county championship winners, but throughout that year we played some incredible games of cricket where like the circumstances and stuff were against us, and the fact that we came out on top of those games at the end of it was, I remember we played a game at Scarborough against Yorkshire. Scarborough's an incredible place to play cricket, and against a strong Yorkshire team, it's a hard place to go, especially as a Durham player. You've got the fans that are on your back constantly. But anyway, it was an incredible game of cricket. I think we ended up making Yorkshire follow on, and we fielded something like 260 overs straight. And then at the end of it, we won, I think, after tea on the last day. So for me, that's why county championship and test match cricket, it's the best format around, because you have all the trials and tribulations over 4 days, all 3 results still possible. And then when you get that win at the very end, it's unbelievably worthwhile. Yeah,
I talked to a few, I'm very grateful. I'm still pretty new. The channel's still pretty new, but I've managed to get a few county cricketers on. So I had Ollie Robinson on a couple of days ago, the Kent wicketkeeper batsman, and he was saying, and he's a lot younger than even me, but he was saying that Test cricket is the pinnacle, the longer day format, and I agree as well. Johnny, though, what do you think? Is it the same for you watching cricket as a fan? Is that still the pinnacle for you, Test cricket, or are you a bit more sold on T20? Is that because it's a bit more of a it's quick and it's more convenient? What do you think?
No, I'm Test cricket all the way. I don't even watch the IPL. I won't watch the IPL.
Neither do I, to be honest. That's right.
Watch IPL. I've not watched any of the T10 stuff. I'm almost hesitant to watch England in T20 cricket. It's just not for me. Like I'll sit and watch Test cricket. The amount of I have early mornings anyway, but the amount of early mornings I've had over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks, just getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock to sit and watch Test cricket, and there's just nothing better for me. It is absolutely. Hey,
you're a purist.
Yeah, I am very much so. Like I love going to watch Test match cricket. I love watching it on TV. It's just nothing else. Nothing comes close to cricket in the longer format for me. It's just such. As Rushy said there, like any result can happen over the course of 5 days. What other sport are you gonna get that? Like it trumps everything for me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's probably this younger generation, their attention span's too low, isn't it? That's probably what it is. I'm not even that old, but even I could probably say that. Like my little brother, he was saying, there's like Test cricket. you're saying to me, Test cricket is just. You're saying, I'm watching and I'm just thinking T20 cricket is so much more exciting. I'm saying, don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it. But the T10 stuff, I want to touch upon that a little bit and get your guys' opinion on it. It's funny that you said about waking up early. So because I've been trying to be covering as much cricket as possible. So I was covering the Pakistan South Africa series and the England India series, and because the time zone is pretty much exactly the same, I was watching both on different screens, and then Bangladesh West Indies as well, which is the same thing as well. But you're right, Johnny, because that Bangladesh West Indies game, I mean, they were completely outplayed for 4 days, West Indies, and then Carl Myers just comes in, hits a double ton on his debut, and that's it. And they chased down, 395, which is like ridiculous. I mean, just incredible.
If the last 2 or 3 weeks aren't a perfect advert for Test cricket, then I don't know what it is. It just goes to show that it's still massively alive, and it's still the most exciting format going for me.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say that's well put, because I think the start of 2021 has been great for Test cricket. Obviously for England as well with Root, and they've won their first 3 Test matches, and Root's in terrific form. I think he'd hit. I think his highest number of hundreds in a year was 3. But he's already got 3 this year, including a double ton. And I think he's already on 600 runs. And they've got 14 more tests. You guys got 14 more tests to go. So I'm assuming he's going to go pretty big. And I'm sure he'll be looking to go record breaking for sure. Johnny, what do you think of England then in India at the moment? They've been doing a pretty good job. I think a lot of people said that they were going to get beaten 4-0. I actually said 2-2. So we'll see. But what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know if you've seen our last episode. So we recorded Friday night, and we had a quick chat about this. And I predicted, because it was only after the first day, I predicted it was going to finish a draw. The first test, I did boldly predict it was going to finish a draw. Look, I think England were absolutely outstanding in that last game. I don't know if, I've seen loads on Twitter and stuff like that about England not declaring a bit earlier, but look, the game was executed brilliantly. Every facet of their game was superb, and look, I think they have to play like that in every single game if they want to come away with that series win. Because you look at India's top 6, and it's arguably the best top 6 on paper in the world. So England have to play like that in almost every session of the remaining Test series to come over that win. But that was a phenomenal game of cricket to watch, and as an England fan, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, 100%. Chris is a bowler, and I'm assuming you love to bowl. I'm assuming most bowlers will love to bowl. I haven't come across a bowler yet that says to me, I don't really enjoy it, I just do it for the sake of it. But, I do it because it's my job. But as someone who loves it, how good was it seeing Jimmy Anderson in that spell, that 3-wicket spell? I mean, he was phenomenal.
He's amazing. I know it's been said the last few days from everyone on Twitter, social media, all of his England teammates and stuff, but for a bloke who's 37 or might even be 38, he just keeps getting better. His skill level just keeps improving. His pace doesn't drop. Honestly, it baffles me how he keeps going and going and going. He obviously has a massive will to prove people wrong, because everyone else, if you're not English, you can only do it in England. He's no good anywhere else. But you look at his record overseas in the last sort of 4, 5, 6 years, it's still up there with the very best. And to do it over there and that one spell, like you say, it just turned the game on its head.
That's interesting. As someone who is predominantly a bowler as well, have there been any instances where you face someone like Jimmy Anderson or someone in county cricket where you just thought, okay, this guy is doing bits, and you felt really uncomfortable at the crease? Have you had those types of experiences before?
Pretty much every time I bat, to be honest. But not particularly. I don't know. I guess there's some people you might face it and you think, oh God, this bloke gets me out every single time. But there's nothing in one game where you think, Christ, this bloke's got it on a string. Because it doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't take a great deal to knock me over these days.
Well, I'm sure everyone thought that when you got your 15 fours at 95 against Northants and you got 9 in an inning. So I'm going to let you talk about that in a sec, because it's your chance to really gloat about that, because that's such an incredible feat. Were you disappointed you didn't get 10? Because you're so close.
Absolutely. I was gutted. It was a ninth wicket. It was a ninth wicket that Stokes got. So I had the first 8 and he got 9, and then I finished it off. But I think we only spoke about this not long ago on Length Does Matter. And it's one of those, it was just the most bizarre game of cricket ever. As a bowler, you can bowl, even sort of, when you're playing league cricket and things like that, you can have one guy bowl the best spell you've ever seen, and you might only get 1 or 2 wickets. Some days you might not bowl very well and pick up 4, 5, 6. But that day, everything just felt nice. Everything was in rhythm. It was coming out nice. It just looked and felt like I was going to get a wicket every ball. And obviously, the spoils were there at the end.
Yeah. Johnny, do you dabble in a bit of club local cricket?
Don't just dabble.
Oh, here we go. Don't get him started.
Don't just dabble. No, I've played cricket probably from about the age of 8 or 9. But like for me now, I'm all over the social side of the game. I play, like, my kids are quite young, so my kids are only like 4 and like 18 months. So I've kind of knocked Saturday cricket on the head last year. So I just play the Thursday nights now, social team. Honestly, man, love it. Like, few beers with the boys after. It's only on for a couple of hours. And it's just a great set of lads. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll always play. I'll not go back into like weekend and first team cricket and stuff like that. But like, just playing with the lads, just having a crack with the lads on a Thursday night. And, that for me is, it makes you summer. Do you know what I mean? It gives you something to look forward to in a week. And like, I'll always play as long as I don't get too injured. My body can still do it. I'll always have a game, man. I love it.
You a bowler, batsman? What's your poison of choice?
Oh, I can dig out. I can do anything. I can open the bat and open the ball and keep with it. Predominantly bowler. I like to turn my arm over. I like to get 4 overs in on a Thursday night. That'll do me now. Like I see, I've done my bit. I've bowled bloody Saturdays. I could bowl 20, 25 overs on a Saturday. Couldn't do that now. So just 4 overs on a Thursday night. That'll do me. Love it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll
I
play.
might come and watch you this summer.
We'll have a bit of
role reversal. I'll come and watch you run up that hill, riot on a Thursday night.
No problem, mate. No problem.
He's looking forward to it. He's gonna I'm surprised Johnny hasn't said to you, "Come on, let's go in the nets." And he said, "I'm going to get you out." And I'm surprised you guys haven't had a net.
We might. Do you know what it is? If it wasn't for COVID, it's something we might do. We might do some stuff like that for the YouTube channel. Just purely just for a bit of crack. But at the minute, because of like COVID and lockdown and stuff, there's loads of stuff we want to do. We'll probably record. We'll do a recording me playing cricket on a Thursday night just for the benefit for people to laugh at us on YouTube. But we'll do some stuff like that. But like at the minute, just hasn't been possible. Do you know what I mean? We're all in the same boat. We're just all trying to make the best of it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure Chris is really looking forward to bowling to you in the nets. Completely innocently, not to try and hurt you at all. I mean, just to run in, trot in, nothing sinister at all.
It'll be demoralising if I can't get him out. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're like listening in your head. You're like, these are the people I've got out throughout my whole career. And, my long career, and I can't get Johnny out. I'm sure Johnny would definitely be talking about it for quite a long time. And he says he's very active on social media, so I'm sure it'll be all over Twitter as well.
If he can't get me out and it goes on YouTube, he's in danger of getting his bloody contract ripped up, isn't he? He can't get me out.
I'm in the wrong job.
Yeah. Chris, actually, you mentioned Ben Stokes. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to say, who's the most talented player you've ever played with? It doesn't necessarily need to be the best, but just the person that you've played with who you think, wow, you're something special. You've got a lot of talent. They may not even be the best player you played with. They may have not fulfilled it, but you've looked at them and just thought, blimey, you've got a lot in the locker.
Well, you touched these names. It's Stokesy without doubt. My sort of first year back playing was sort of Stokesy's first year as well. And even as a young lad, just coming into the team, you could see there was something special there. His fight and sort of determination. Everything you see now, except he's just is streets ahead of where he was. That sort of grit, determination, that will to win. He was still a little bit rough around the edges and naive back then, but ability and talent wise, you could see he was next level even then. So it's fantastic for English cricket that he's gone on to fulfil that. Like you see, or there's many people you see early doors in their career, you think, God, this guy can be really good. Play 2 or 3 years and then they kind of just fade away.
Yeah, no, I guess a lot of it's the mental side, isn't it? I'm assuming. How much would you say is as a percentage is mental in kind of the elite level cricket that you play in?
I think a lot of it is definitely that when you're in the eye all the time, and sort of 70-75%.
Okay. Fair enough. I think we're going to get Chris back at some point. I'm hoping. No. Oh, you're back. Cool. So 70-75%. You're saying, yeah?
I think so. I would say so. Like I say, your ability's got you there. So I guess you look at the best players in the world. What makes them better is their kind of, their mental ability to play the situation, stuff like that. I think that's what makes them the best.
Johnny, what about you? In terms of, you said you've played cricket for quite a long time, since you're 8. What's the funniest moment you've experienced as a club cricketer? You can keep it PG if you want, or you don't have to as well. You've got that smirk on your face that makes me think you have about 10 different scenarios running through your head, thinking, which one should I pick?
Yes. Mate, honestly, take your pick. Like, what's the funniest stuff? So I played a game. It was only a couple of years before I was playing, and I always used to feel like slips or gully because you say I'm clearly not that mobile, right? And I was we were stood. I was stood in second slip. My pal was first slip, and obviously the wicketkeeper. And me and the wicketkeeper turned round, and the first slip was in the middle of a cricket match, nice hot summer's day. He started getting fired up downstairs. I don't really go into that much more detail, but as you can imagine, me and the wicketkeepers noticed this, and all hell broke loose. And yeah, it was a bit embarrassing for him, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever witnessed on a cricket pitch. I've seen some funny stuff, like the leagues we've played in, like some good lads, some really, really good characters, but that is 100% got to be up there for me. Like, it was hilarious.
That is very random. It's very random.
Purposefully didn't do it, or did he being on Viagra or something and just?
Well, it's not the normal place. He tried to deny it, but he was fired up. He tried to deny it, but he was just asking what was going on in his head.
Cricket whites don't hide a great deal, do they? Cricket whites,
not really. Yeah, they don't. Like they don't. Yeah, he must have been super excited about the game. That's for sure.
You don't know. I don't know if the game. I can't really remember the game. I don't know if the game was just drifting a little bit, and he started getting his mind on other things. I think, nah.
Yeah, it was either very boring or he was really enjoying the game. One of the two, I think, probably.
Can't recall much talent walking around the ground that day. Might have just all been in his imagination, but fair play to him. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that is, yeah. I don't think I'm going to come across someone who's got the same story as that. So that's a good one, I think, for sure. For sure. Oh, that's good. Talking of, it's not really a funny moment, but, you know, Chris, you played under Cameron Bancroft, right? And he was part of that whole sandpaper gate. And, you know, there was a lot against him and Steve Smith and Dave Warner at the time. And then he came and played county cricket with you guys. And he actually was captain, wasn't he, for Durham for a few years. How's it being led under him?
Different. I think it was his first role as captain was with us, which was really tough for him because it was his first year with us. He missed the first game, came in second game, didn't know any of his players. We'd never met him before. So I think he was in a bit of a tricky situation. I think we lost our first 4 or 5 games. So, you know, when you've got your overseas coming over as a quality batsman and he comes in as captain, the team's not doing very well. I reckon it felt like the whole world was on his shoulders. And obviously on the back of what had happened 12 months before as well. I think he knew everyone was watching. The pressure was on. But now it was strange. He's a lovely, lovely bloke. But he's very different. Very different.
And you're not just saying that because he's Australian, are you? It's just a different eccentric. He's a bit of a different personality.
Like I've got heaps of mates in Australia. My best man lives in the middle of the desert in Western Australia at my wedding. So I've got good pals out there. But now he's a strange cat. His bangers. Loves his yoga, his fitness, all that kind of stuff. He's special. We'll put it that way. Lovely guy, but just a little bit different.
Yeah, bit eccentric. Well, that's fair enough.
Oh, definitely.
Johnny, when you saw Cameron Bancroft coming to Durham, were you on the phone to Chris going, "Can you go and get the ins and outs of the whole story of Sandpaper Gate?"
He was very open about that. To be honest, like obviously the boys asked him.
Yeah.
He was quite happy to sit down and talk to everyone and tell us the situation and stuff. So, you know, it's not like he was hiding anything. He knew what was going on.
Okay.
It happened, didn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it happened. It was done. Like, was it a massive deal?
Yeah. Johnny, if you're looking at it subjectively, because we're on that, do you think there's a bit of an overreaction to it? Because to be perfectly honest with you, and Chris, you'll probably be able to tell me better, or maybe not, because you might not want to say it explicitly, but surely, like, people try and get advantage any way they can with the ball. And we've seen it in the past a lot. I just don't think a lot of people get caught. I just think the sandpaper was a bit of a weird one. Like, it was very, very obvious.
I think for me, it was poor. Right? It was poor. It shouldn't have happened. It was really, it was a really poor thing to do. I think if I look at Bancroft, is Bancroft completely responsible for that? No, he was kind of a fall guy, wasn't he? And I don't know whether it was a bit, and Russell will tell you more because he spoke about it. Was he a bit naive in doing it? Probably. But look, man, there's worse things happened in cricket, hasn't there? You know, you look at what happened with the Pakistan team a few years ago, and Mayer and Button and the likes, and then there's been, you know, match fixing and spot fixing and all that kind of stuff. That's playing out and out cheating, and that's abhorrent. It's horrible. Do you know what I mean? But with this, it's just poor. It was poor judgment for me. It's always going to create waves. I think something like that. So when something like that happens, it'll always create waves. But I don't know. Was there too much made of it? Probably.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think there's probably because Steve Smith at the time was such a. I mean, he's incredible now, but he was such an incredible player at the time that when it happened, I think in South Africa, it all came on its head. And yeah, Cameron Bancroft was probably. I feel like he got the brunt of it. To be fair, because he never really came back into the Australian fold, really. Whereas David Warner and Steve Smith did, and they're still playing for them, obviously. So it's interesting.
Bangers played in the Ashes, didn't he, 2 years ago, but couldn't score.
Yeah, but it took him time, didn't it? It took him time to come back in. Whereas those guys pretty much just slotted straight back in, didn't they? I guess they were bigger players in the Australian side, but
slightly better players than him.
Yeah. Probably just like
them, but Warner are very, 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 very good cricketers.
Yeah, 100%. No, we touched upon the T10 earlier. I wanted to get Chris, actually you first. I wanted to get your opinion on it because, like, what do you think of that format? Firstly, and I feel like this might be the format that they're going to try and pitch to the Olympics to have cricket in it.
I watched little bits of it. If you're going to have a format like that, you need to get the best players playing. And for me, watching it, you had a combination of guys who have been the best players in the world once upon a time. They're now fading out. They're there playing, collecting some cash. Then you got the bracket of younger overseas players who are good players. And then you had, the kind of the rest. So for me, the idea is obviously there, the concept's there, but if you're going to do it, you need to get the best players in my eyes. And if they are seriously considering cricket as an Olympic sport, why not play 50 over cricket or 20 over cricket? I'm pretty sure cricket used to be in the World Championships and stuff years ago as a 50 over game. So, why not? If you're going to do it properly.
Yeah, I think. Do you think the reason why they wouldn't do that is just because if you want a multitude of nations, really, you want a number of teams, it's probably too long, 50 over game, even 20 over game. Whereas I guess with a T10, it's going to be hour and a half, and that you can fit in a number of teams maybe. So I don't know. It's a weird one because I'm kind of of the same opinion of you that I think if you have international teams playing international players playing it, then it might be okay. And then I kind of don't mind it being the Olympics every 4 years, but I don't want it to be franchised like T20 cricket. And then that's why they've got the one-off tournament now, which again, I feel like that it's almost like a trial to see how it will do. So I don't mind a one-off tournament, but then I think like you, I guess, where you're saying about T20 and 50 over cricket, that do I really want the whole world to see cricket in the Olympics in a T10 format? And ideally probably no, but logistically I kind of feel like that's probably the way to do it. What do you think, Johnny?
I just can't. I just don't get T10 as a concept. Like, I don't know how. It's just so set up for batsmen, and it's set up. It's not set up for the cricketers, right? It's set up for it's an entertainment, isn't it? Right? And I get it. It's going to entertain people, but I spoke earlier on as a purist and as a fan of the game. I just can't enjoy it. There's no. I don't know. It's just I can't contemplate the idea of so much in a T10 game. Like,
yeah. No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
How many nations or how many countries compete in the Olympics? Any idea?
Can't be 100, no, don't it?
I think it depends on sport to sport. They'd have qualifiers for it.
Because you're not going to have...
Gone.
I'm assuming he's not going to say you're not going to have 100 nations. He's going to have...
You're not the way, yeah.
No, you're not. You're going to have... Because I have qualifiers. Sorry, you're back, Chris. What were you going to say?
Literally what you were just saying. You're not going to get every nation entering a cricket team.
Yeah, and they'll have qualifiers, right? Like they do for most stuff. So they'll because even like I cover boxing as well, and they have qualifiers just for Olympic boxing. So they'll have the similar thing, obviously, for cricket. I think they do for other sports as well, or other like for athletics, etc., other disciplines. So I'm assuming they'll have that for cricket, but I'm trying to think in the football Olympics. So football in the Olympics, I think they have like it's almost like as many teams as in the World Cup. So there's a fair few. So that'll be like 30 plus, I think it is. So I guess they'd have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess then you'd have the people like, you'd have people like Hong Kong, you'd have Nepal, Kenya, Namibia, those types of teams. So I guess it's good that they get a bit of exposure as well to it. But I think, like Johnny, you said about the T10 being very batsman friendly, and I think I watched a very little bit of it as you did, Chris, as well. And I think I was looking at it thinking to myself, it's so batsman centric. And then it made me think actually a little bit about cricket as a whole. And so I want to ask you, Chris, as someone who's been around for quite a long time now, and you look at your stats, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but you've got some very impressive figures in the county game. But as you've gone on, as you played, have you found that cricket's got more and more batsman friendly? Because I feel like, for me personally, as just a fan, so in the past 30 years, bats have gotten bigger, the edges have gotten bigger, boundaries, for T20s, for example, they come in, even before you were allowed more than 2 short balls, now it's 2 short balls per over. So that's an advantage for the batsman. Batsman can switch it. They can go into a lefty position. They don't have to say anything. But as a bowler, if you're ambidextrous, you have to tell the umpire if you want to bowl left-handed. And it's not like balls have gotten smaller, so it's harder to hit. It's a lot easier, right? And at the end of the day, umpiring is always going to be, for the benefit of the batsman, as in you always give the benefit of the doubt to the batsman. So as a bowler, what's your take on it?
I think white ball game, definitely. I think Johnny mentioned the word entertainment business. I think that's the way the white ball game's gone, or is going, and has been going. In terms of bats getting bigger and things like that, I think that's just, I guess, progression, as in any sport that uses equipment. Manufacturers get better, technology gets better, so obviously the equipment is going to be better. Guys now are, work incredibly hard in the gym, so they're obviously a lot stronger. So a combination of stronger guys with better equipment. I guess the repercussions of that, you're going to feel it as a bowler. But white ball cricket now is so hard as a bowler. When I first started playing one-day cricket, the white ball used to swing around corners for 10, 12, 15 overs. Now, if you can get 2 overs swing, it's a bonus.
Is that partly because so they changed the ball, or is it because they've now got 1 ball at each end, isn't it?
To be honest, the ball seems and feels and looks exactly like it always has done. For some reason, just doesn't swing. So honestly, I have no idea why. I don't know how it happens. But now everything is in favour for batsmen.
Do you think they're going to? You said that originally the white ball was swinging a lot. Do you think, you can then kind of bring it or level it up a bit by, if they hadn't changed it to white ball and had the red ball still, and also now they've got 2 balls, so 1 from each end, and so what it means is that you have a new ball that stays newer for longer, but obviously you don't have that old ball that starts reversing towards the end of an innings or getting old for the spinners. Do you think that's also played a part as well?
Definitely. Reverse swing, it's a skill. We just spoke about Anderson earlier. That was reverse swing out in India. That changed the game. So if you're good enough to have those skills, when the ball gets in that sort of state and that used condition, then that's part of the game. Taking that away, it's like saying to the batsman, look, you can't score on the leg side for the first 7 overs. You can't hit through there. I've got no fielders there. It's part of the game. So it is tricky, but I guess with everything, the guys playing white ball cricket now, the development skills, they're used to having 2 new balls. So they start in the game with knowing this, knowing the game situations and the rules and things like that. So, you know, they develop their skills around that.
Johnny, as a fan as well, who's watched the game a lot longer than I have, well, what's your take on it in terms of cricket being maybe, you know, in favour of the batsman kind of more and more as the years roll on?
Well, it is, and look, I'll not disagree with anything that Rushy spoke about there. He's absolutely spot on every single point he's made. I think, you know, cricket in any sport now is a business, right? And it's about bums on seats. You know, as a fan, you want to go? Do you want to take the kids along, go to Durham, and watch a team score 80 off 20 overs? Or do you want to see them score 160, 170, 180 and have a really, really close game and the fours and the sixes and the music and stuff like that? And look, it's not my cup of tea, but it puts bums on seats. And that, you know, from a business perspective, if you think about that from a business perspective, that cannot be a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? It cannot be a bad thing if Durham are selling, you know, however many thousand tickets on a Friday night or Sunday afternoon or whatever, because it puts bums on seats, and you know what, it pays the bills, you know. So look, it swings and roundabouts. As a purist, you know, bowler, Rushy, you know, it's not the ideal scenario for bowlers, but I guess it's good for business. Do you know what I mean? And ultimately, cricket clubs need to survive. And they need cash and they need money, and the money they get from, you know, stuff like T20, the Blast, all that kind of stuff. I think it's one of those where you've kind of got to take the rough with the smooth a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think I do feel though that in a way, batting's been glorified a lot more than bowling, and so that's why this has come about a little bit as well, in the sense that, you know, when you say bums on seats, is because hitting fours and sixes is seen as, you know, a lot better than, for example, seeing a stump, you know, cartwheeling out the ground. But for me, and maybe again, as you said, maybe it's because I'm a bit of a purist, but even when I was growing up as well, like and I'm a batsman, like I open the bats for my local club. I bowl a little bit of leg spin, but, you know, I don't bowl seam up or anything. And even for me, I'd love to see that. And, you know, nowadays you see scores of 300 plus is like par in ODI cricket. And before it was 200, 220. And I feel like those games, and even I think it was in the 2019 World Cup, the ball was doing quite a bit. So there were quite a few games that you saw where it was like 240, 250. And I actually thought those games were very competitive, but I felt like they were a lot better to watch because there's a lot more in it for the bowlers and batsmen. And maybe that's leveled out, as Chris was saying, in Test cricket in the longer format, because I felt the red ball does a lot more. But, you know, with DRS and the umpire's call, Michael Holding said that if it says umpire's call, but it's hitting the stumps, it should be given out because batsmen have so many advantages. And maybe it might give the bowlers a little bit back. What do you think about that, Chris?
All for it. If it's for the bowlers, like you say, like batsmen have everything else, so why not just give that tiny little bit of doubt? Why not give that to a bowler for this one?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I can't see it happening, but you know,
yeah,
think of everything else.
Yeah. What about the batsman going to a lefty position? Do you think it should be that it doesn't matter if it's pitching outside, off, or you know, or leg, whatever it might be, considering they're going to a lefty position? Should it just be if it's in line, that's it, and then that's the consequence of, you know, that's the risk of playing that reverse hit?
Definitely, I would agree with that. If you're brave enough to take that risk, then, you know, then this is a consequence, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think, Johnny?
No, I agree with Chris. I think, you know, it's batsman's prerogative, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree. I just feel like, you know, it's getting more innovative, and that's fantastic. It's a great skill to have. But yeah, I mean, surely you have to give a little bit back to the bowlers, right? It's really difficult because, you know, you said, Chris, about equipment, but then the balls swing less, which means that there is equipment to provide bowlers with balls that swing more probably, but they're just choosing not to. So it's interesting to see. We kind of touched
Look,
upon
if it's an entertainment business and everyone wants to see people score runs, people can't score runs without bowlers. And if you're constantly taking the game away from the bowlers, then there's going to be less and less kids think, I want to do that when I grow up. I want to be the guy that whacks it out the ground.
Yeah.
So you've got to give something there to excite kids to want to bowl. Don't get me wrong. If you're good enough to execute your skills and perform when everything's against you, then you deserve to earn the big contracts and things like that. But at the same time, you want these young kids to say, I want to try doing that instead of everyone just wanting to hit it out the ground every time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think back when I was younger, like I would look at Shane Warne, Murali. People would be wanting to say, "Oh, we want to bowl like them." They'd imitate them. And nowadays, it's more everyone wants to imitate the batsman, right? It's the Roots and the Kohlis and the Steve Smiths. But back in the day, you'd still have that. You'd have people trying to imitate certain bowlers. Even Flintoff. People would be saying Harmison even, and people would be looking to those bowlers and thinking, "Oh, actually, that's quite cool." And they'd like to see the stumps kind of coming out the ground, LBWs, especially with the spinners as well, having that kind of mystery around them. But I actually feel like even now in the current game, it's already started, because if you look at Test cricket, there's not many world-class spinners around, if you think about it. Whereas back in the day, you used to have Warne, Kumble, Murali, and they were all playing at the same time. Obviously, you had Ashley Giles, Monty Panesar, Graham Swan recently as well. And, nowadays you've got Ashwin probably. And then after that, I can't really think of someone who I think he's so good. Like, he's elite. He'll go down as a great. There's not really many about. And that's probably because I feel in T20 cricket, you see a lot of these spinners, like, for example, Zampa, Adil Rashid, who are really good spinners, but they more want to kind of focus on the shorter format as well, which kind of leads me nicely on to, how do you guys think, and I'll go for you first, Johnny, actually, what's the best way of growing cricket, do you think? Because I'm really passionate on the subject of growing cricket, and I would like to get to a point where cricket's like football, where you have, I don't know, even 15 competitive test play nations. I mean, 20 would be a dream, but get to that point where you have more competitive nations globally, and cricket's more of a global sport, not just stuck to, say, 10 nations. But what do you think about the best way to grow it globally?
It's a bit of a deep question for me, though.
It is quite deep. I probably should have given you notice.
I'm the idiot of the relationship here. Look, I have absolutely no idea, and I have, I don't know. It starts at grassroots. It starts for me. It's giving kids access to cricket. Like, we're from a very work class town. Not deprived in any way, shape, or form, but it's for me. It's about giving kids access. I don't know how much cricket they play in schools. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know when I was at school, that's how I started at school. We played a lot of cricket, particularly obviously in the summer. But no, I don't know if I'm qualified enough to answer that question. We'll let Rushy take this one. Yeah.
Go on then, Chris.
Again, I don't really have an answer for you. We did. We had Kyle Kurtzer, Scotland's captain, on our show the other week, and he's got a massive vision for Scotland and all those nations who are just below the kind of test bracket and stuff. And they all want to reach it, and they all want to try and expand the game globally. But for some reason, I don't know whether it's financial. Are these countries getting enough funding from the ICC to produce, I don't know, facilities and things like that? But I think the biggest mistake the ICC made was reducing the number of teams for the World Cup. And I know there was massive backlash, and I know Kyle was massively vocal about that on social media. for me, that was a bad move from them. I hope they do change their minds in the future. But it is a problem that I'll be honest that I've got no idea how you fix it.
No, that's such a good point about them cutting the World Cup. I think it was from 14 to 10. No, sorry. Yeah, I think it was 14 to 10. And that's the ODI World Cup. And I was just thinking, it ends up being like the Champions Trophy almost, right? Which they've now stopped. But that's pretty much what the ODI World Cup would be. And yeah, you want to see the Netherlands, the Scotlands, the islands. And it's not like these Namibias, Kenyas, and Nepals. Like, you want to see all of these because it's not like in the past they haven't upset the odds. Like, there's that really famous match between Holland and England, which was really tight. And that came out, Ireland have beaten Pakistan in the past in World Cup. So it's not like they're not capable of doing it. And it's funny because you said about Carl Coates, but I talked to Mark Watt actually earlier today about he's the Scotland left arm spinner, and he said that he said, like, I guess how Carl was saying, and I feel like that whole group of players think that for Scotland maybe that they want to get to test playing nation level within maybe 2-3 years, because at the moment they're at that associate level, but they haven't actually played any cricket since January 2020, so that's over a year. And they're not even training. They don't have any funding or training from the cricket board because so they're all on furlough technically. So they're just doing like S&C, going for runs, like keeping fit basically. And he said for him, he went to South Africa and did a bit of like bowling with the coach because their head coach used to work with the Dolphins in South Africa as well, one of the provinces. And he said, so I did a bit of work there, but actually it was him and one other. And I was just thinking to myself, it's a bit ridiculous because if you see the test playing nations now, they're all in bubbles. He said, yeah, we can't afford that because of financial constraints. And I think you're right. The ICC obviously, I don't know whether it's funding. I mean, it seems like that is a big issue because of like COVID and everything at the moment. But they're going to have a massive like backlog of games. And he was saying potentially we're going to end up playing something like 5 ODIs in 1 week, which obviously a test playing nation never would. But he was saying, like that was a big thing. I think in the T20 World Cup later, they're going to play in it, but it will be, there's like a qualifying round beforehand to actually get through. So I mean, I think it definitely, the World Cup, I think even Sachin Tendulkar said it. He said it should be like 24 nations. And even I think it was Australian chairman came out and said he'd like to see 15 competitive test playing nations. So I think it's the only way to grow the sport, right? Otherwise it'll always be stuck within 10 countries. And then can you really call it a global, like a really global sport? It's interesting. Actually, there's one last question actually before I let you guys go. It's a bit of a weird one. Chris, have you ever played yourself on a cricket game on the PlayStation?
I'll be totally honest. I've never played a cricket game on the computer in my life.
Oh, really?
And it's something I don't think I'll ever do.
Is it just because you do it for a living and you're just like, I want to come home and relax?
Actually, I tell a lie. I played Brian Lara when I was a kid. Brian Lara cricket. But other than that, it's computers. It's not for me. I'll be honest.
I was going to ask you if you had. I was going to say, did you bowl with yourself and you just thought they made me rubbish here? I'm a lot better than this. Like, add 5 miles per hour to my speed, and I'm swinging the ball a lot more than this, and kind of have that bowler's ego. It's quite funny. Have you, Johnny? Have you ever played with Rushy on a computer game?
No. I can't remember the last time I played on a computer, Paul. I think it'll have been a PlayStation. Crash Bandicoot was the last game I played, mate.
They've remastered it. That's how old that game is, I think.
25 years.
Wow. Oh man, that's an interesting one. Okay, cool. Before we wrap up, then actually, if it's all right, Johnny, what's your prediction then for the England-India series?
No, it's just too close for me now. It's too close to call. I would have had India favourites before the series. Like I spoke about it earlier. Fantastic top six. We've got an elite spinner. We've got some good pace bowlers. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up a draw. The series ended up a draw. I think, I said earlier, if England play brilliantly in every session, they'll win. But I think they have to play fantastically well in every single session to win the series.
What about
or at least
Chris?
for the next 2 games, anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about you, Chris?
I'm gonna think 2-1. England will win 2-1.
Oh, I like that. And actually, sorry. Lastly, Chris, as a Durham legend, and I'm sure you're a town legend. I'm sure Johnny can say. I'm assuming that you are. He's scratching his head, so I'm not sure. But as a Durham legend, for young up and coming bowlers, what advice would you give to them for aspiring fast bowlers?
For young fast bowlers, be prepared for hard work. I think that's probably the reason why I was released as a younger lad. I didn't realise how tough cricket is and fast bowling or pace bowlers. Be prepared that it's going to be hard, but when it goes well and things go your way, it's the best job. It's the best job going. You can't win a test match or a game of cricket without taking 10 wickets or 20 wickets in first class cricket. So bowlers, good bowlers are worth their weight in gold. So put the hard yards in early, and the rewards will come later on.
And length does matter.
And yes, very good. You're very good. It's so funny. Whenever I do my video and I go, "Oh, that was a quality shot," and I think I've just plugged my own channel. I'm like, great. I'm like, that's great. Well, thank you very much, guys. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before we wrap up here? No, good?
Not for me. Thanks for having us on.
We're good.
Thanks for having us on.
Good, appreciate it.
No problem. I really appreciate you guys coming on as well. Thanks again for taking time out of your day, and it was a great chat, and hopefully we can do it maybe down the line at some point and get you on and chat again. I'll look forward to it if we can sort it out. Thanks very much, guys. Please make sure you do check out Length Does Matter as well. As I said, I'll put the link in the description, and make sure you do subscribe to the channel, and on all the other platforms that you guys are on, podcast platforms, Spotify, Stitcher, I think it is, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, everything. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you.
Thank you.